so loud, you swore you was at a party. I'm so iced up, I need to be thawed out. Washing dishes. Y'all call it cooking crack.
Here at LAPD homicide detectives who I've talked to at 77th Division, they tell me this victim was an innocent man who was shot multiple times for no apparent reason. Detectives tell me this crime was unprovoked. We're told the victim went to that park every day. He lived walking distance to that park and went there since he was 6 years old. Tonight, his mother is asking for the community's help to find her son's killer.
Patrick didn't have any enemies. He didn't bother anybody. He did not. He did was try to have him alive, live his life.
Tonight, a mother's shock and disbelief hours after she learned her eldest son, Patrick Caruthers, was gunned down in broad daylight at his favorite South LA park, the Harvard-Tatum Harvard Rec Center.
His love was music and going to church. He loved church.
The 19-year-old was shot and killed as he sat at a park bench. Homicide detectives tell me a man armed with a handgun walked up to Caruthers and started shooting at his back multiple times. We're told there were no words exchanged, and the suspect ran inside a dark sedan that sped away.
People need to know. No, he was not a gangbanger. He was not involved in any crime of any nature. He was just a child trying to live his life.
Caruthers died at the scene. His mother tells me he had special needs, including a learning disability and speech impediment.
He fought hard. Everything he did, he had to work 5 times harder at it than the average person, but he was determined to be functional and just be a person just like everybody else.
He just graduated from Manual Arts High and was a student at a local vocational college. We're told Caruthers was a known name and face among park employees. He volunteered over the years and was part of the Summer Night Lights basketball program.
It's been a very volatile and fragile park. We've made tremendous gains in the last 5 and 6 years. It was very much known as a park that was had a stranglehold by gangs on it. And to break that, it's taken tremendous police resources, big city investment. There's a no swimming pool, new skate park, new tennis courts. Summer Night Lights has been very effective at bringing the community back to that park. However, about 3 years ago, we pushed really hard for a camera project because unless we put police officers in that park 24/7, there's no oversight. And the 6 Deuce Brims have been there now for 2 generations around that park, and they see it as their own park. And so even with all the effective enforcement and the improvements in that park, unless there's somebody to make sure that they're going to let everybody from every ethnicity into that park, we will have situations like this where the fact that we've got 6 Deuce Brims sitting out there flying colors, anybody that's angry with that gang will come by and use that as an opportunity for shooting. And so there's a tremendous need at this park. And even though the cameras may not be viewed full time, the fact that in that community they know that they're videotaped, they're a significant deterrent to crime. And so it's a tremendous asset for us in the reduction of crime and to keep the peace at that location.
This is a similar beats reduction.
17 G's, I got the homeless chick. 36 OZ, yeah, the house break. And the plan is to add 18 zippers. Turn the key to a bird in the house. Got the Pyrex 1,000 milliliter. Took off my white tee, dog, I'm in my wife beater. Got the water in the pot, it's boiling hot. Warm a hammer in the skelly in the middle spot. Got the razor blade spoon and the butter knife. Sink half full of water, it's cold as ice. Took 63 grams off the brick blood. Broke it down, then hit it with the mixed blood. Added a half a spoon of water in it, roast up. Third with the butter knife, all before it froze up. Then I put it in the pot and let it sit, homie. Play with it till it start to look like grits, homie. We
Chief, did we also have an incident recently where we even had some of the gang involvement or gang workers there that participated in the infamous tape?
There was a videotape that was made that really condoned gang life by some of the 6-deuce brims that was pushed out at the park, and it hit the internet.
It included a laundry list on how to make crack cocaine?
How to make crack cocaine, using slang terms. And I don't remember the details of the video, but it's something that we never should have had happen to the park. And again, it's because if law enforcement's not there, they feel like they run that park, and they've intimidated employees from Parks and Recreation into being quiet and to really exerting their will within the park.
Okay. And in that park, with the videotape, we have the gang workers and also, I believe, some of the Rec and Park personnel that participated in the making of the tape, along with the gangs.
Sir, I haven't seen the videotape. I've heard about it, so I can't tell you specifically who was in it. But
and then you're aware of the incident that we had where, while the skate park was being constructed, that the gangs actually removed the workers from the work site?
Yes, I am, and that's not the only time that's happened. We've had a number of Christmas celebrations for the community where the 6-deuce brims actually intimidated vendors from leaving the park.
Okay, so those are the reasons when Captain Cato came to us, and I believe Canizales was the senior lead that proposed this approach because of the lack of resources. And so is that the kind of understanding you have as to what prompted this program?
Yeah, and actually about 3.5 years ago, when I was still at 77th, we came to the council office for this specific reason. And Captain Cato has continued to try and push it forward. It's been a project that we don't want to die, and we want to continue to push it forward because this is one location within that community that would truly benefit.
Mr. Sears, we apologize. We had convinced the community that those cameras would be in. They're not, but today we have it on the agenda that we hope it passes and get them installed immediately. And we'll also do that in the honor of Patrick when they're dedicated. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Gail Sears, and I'm Patrick Caruthers' mother. And I would really like to put a plea out to the community, anyone knowing any information involving the predators that murdered my son. I would really appreciate it. Me, the entire family, and the community would really appreciate it if you would give any information you have, no matter how small you think it is. Please contact the numbers that have been made available to you, and let's bring this person to justice, because my son did not deserve to die this way. He was innocent. He never saw it coming. It was a very cowardly move on the person who did it, and they need to be brought to justice. Patrick deserves that. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, colleagues, this is a $50,000 reward. Any information we'd ask to be directed to 213-485-1386. Next week, tentative plans for the services are next week, and at the time we receive that, we'll be doing an adjourning motion in Patrick's honor. The reason I go through this is I think we owe the public an explanation of why these cameras have taken 8 months from the approval cycle into today getting approved. And although it's a small solace for Mrs. Sears today to know they're going up in her son's memory, we were trying to avoid this circumstance years ago by going forward, getting the involvement of LAPD, and trying to make sure that these cameras were in place. So if they didn't prevent a crime, they'd at least have the technology to go back and see if they could solve a crime. And yet, in February through today, these cameras and this proposal is languished somewhere in the city of LA. And I think that's a very unfortunate set of circumstances, and really there's no explanation to the family and that community, because they started coming to that park because we convinced them that the swimming pool, the new tennis courts, the play fields, and all the other things, the skate park, they were going to be protected. And yet we were not able to do that to the finest that we could, because LAPD told us early on they could not post someone there
recommended we go with cell plan technologies. We released an RFP several years ago for wireless cameras throughout the department, and several council members actually have funded cameras in their districts, including Councilmember Zine and Councilmember Alarcon, using cell plan technologies. They are also in Southwest, that was funded by the Police Foundation, and the part of the reason that I recommended we go with them was because they offer the opportunity, because they're an open system, it's not proprietary, closed technology, they offer the opportunity to eventually all work together in sort of a larger citywide plan.
Even though it's more expensive, you convinced us that was the way to go?
Yes.
Okay. The other issue, so we've had a number of parks and locations in the city that's used this technology.
Yeah, yes.
From this company?
Yes.
On this contract?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Parks.
We have cameras in Mission, Foothill, implementations going on right now in West Valley and Topanga, and then also in Southwest.
Okay. And then on looking at the cameras, did we have a problem with the
Mr. Parks, if I
technology?
can ask you to conclude or press your button again.
Okay.
We're at 6 minutes.
Did you have a problem with the technology or the warranty at all on this particular phase of the contract?
No, not at all.
So the issues, so there's not a warranty issue, and what is the warranty?
The warranty will be for 3 years.
For 3 years. Is that consistent with prior contracts?
It depends on the funding allocated at the time. Some funding sources have decided to pay for a year at a time or 2 years at a time. In your case, you've agreed to cover 3 up front. But it's basically the same warranty no matter what. It's just a matter of how do you want to fund it? Do you want to fund it in larger time frames, or do you want to do a year at a time, something like that? But it's the same warranty across the board.
I think part of the package was that these are damage proof, or there's some element of them that makes them damage proof that you recommended to us.
Well, they're certainly rated for the elements and to withstand everything that they might withstand being outside in public locations.
Okay. And from your involvement, was that early this year that we agreed to use this system?
Yes.
Okay, that was like March or February, March?
I think around that time frame, yes.
The question I have is on these warranties. We need to somehow stabilize the warranties with the system. It differs in different areas. Say you go out and buy a car, for example, a Beamer, you can get a 4-year service plan that comes with the car. It's not an extra. We've done a lot of work with this company on the camera surveillance. We need to somehow, at their expense, extend that warranty out, because I know that there's different levels that we have, and I don't know how dependable the system is. The one that we're putting in, we have a 2-year. I understand, Mr. Alarcon, I think you have a 1-year. But there's different warranties. Somehow we need to squeeze this company to give us a warranty at their expense, a maintenance program at their expense.
And Councilmember Alarcon just actually funded the 2nd year. What I was mentioning earlier is it's not different warranties. It's maintenance on the system. It's the same coverage, no matter if you pay for 1 year or 3 years at a time. The warranty itself or maintenance as far as what is covered, what will be repaired, all of that is the same. We're not talking about different warranties per division or per council district or anything like that.
We're paying for that. What I'm saying is we need to somehow have them.
Right, there's an annual charge for the warranty. It's really up to the city and the funding source how you'd like to cover that.
No, you're missing my point. My point is we need to go to the vendor. They're making a lot of money in the district that I represent, $700,000. Mr. Parks in the project, which I support for his area, the others that are going to be coming online. There's a lot of money we're talking about this company's making. They need to do something to keep that contract, to keep those that they would at their expense, since it's a reliable system, instead of us keeping on coming up. Mr. Alarcon has to come up with another funding source to continue another year. And I know the initial program that we had, there were a lot of those cameras that went down, and there was no maintenance to maintain. And we need to maintain that. I'm just thinking that we squeeze a little more out of the company since they want our business, and they're making a lot of money on those. And if they're a dependable, reliable system, fine and dandy. Just a little bit more sales pitch on our side to keep them, because obviously it keeps them in business, and at the same time it provides that safety. I'm just looking at squeezing a little more out of them to give back for what we're doing, instead of us trying to seize more money to help maintain it. That's what I'm looking at.
Understood.
Thank you.
See no one else on the queue? Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
Don't become a meal on the next nigga's plate. Keep your eyes wide open, check your trap, dog. Dot your I's, cross your T's, or it's a rap, dog. Chase a pussy, but get you kidnapped, dog. And all money ain't good, that's a fact, dog. We wash